Hi, welcome to Audiobook Academy. This is a self-paced audiobook. There's no need to keep an eye on things. Just pay attention. Thank you for taking the time to listen. This is a book summary of How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Techniques for Dealing with People, Part 1, Fundamental Techniques. First and foremost, refrain from criticizing, condemning, or complaining. Principle 2, express genuine and sincere gratitude to others. Principle 3, create an urgent desire in the other person's heart. Part 2, 6 ways to win friends and influence people. Become sincerely interested in the lives of others, according to Principle 1. Principle number 2, smiling. Principle 3, keep in mind that a person's name is the sweetest and most important sound in any language to that individual. Principle 4, be a good listener and communicate well. Principle 5, talk about the other person's interests rather than your own. 6. Make the other person feel important, and do so in an honest and sincere manner. Part 3, how to persuade others to adopt your point of view. Fundamental Principle 1, the only way to get the most out of an argument is to avoid getting into one. Second principle, show consideration for the other person's point of view. Never say to someone, "You're mistaken." Principle 3, if you are incorrect, admit it as soon as possible and with conviction. Principle 4, make a friendly first impression. Principle 5, get the other person to say yes as quickly as possible. Principle 6, allow the other person to do a significant amount of the speaking. Rule number 7, make the other person feel as if the idea is his or her own. Principle 8, make an honest effort to see things from the perspective of the other person. In accordance with Principle 9, be empathetic to the thoughts and desires of others. Principle 10, make an appeal to more noble motivations. Principle 11, bring your thoughts to life with dramatic flair. Principle 12, confront your opponent with a challenge. In Part 4, you will learn how to be a leader and how to change people without offending or provoking resentment. Principle 1, begin with expressions of genuine gratitude and admiration. Principle 2, draw people's attention to their own mistakes in an indirect manner. Principle 3, admitting your own faults before criticizing someone else is a good practice. Principle 4, rather than issuing orders, ask questions instead of giving orders. Principle 5, allow the other person to maintain their dignity. Principle 6, acknowledge even the tiniest improvement, and then acknowledge every improvement. Be sincere in your approval and effusive in your praise, as the saying goes. Principle 7, assign a high reputation to the other person, and expect them to live up to it. Encouragement is the 8th principle. Make it appear as if the error is simple to remedy. Principle 9, make the other person pleased by suggesting that they do what you've recommended. 90% of the time, people do not condemn themselves for anything, no matter how erroneous their actions may appear to be. Criticism is pointless because it puts us on the defensive and causes us to seek to justify our actions and positions. It is dangerous to criticize since it injures our pride, diminishes our sense of importance, and arouses hatred in us. Don't be critical of others, they are exactly what we would be if we were in the same situation. The adage goes, don't complain about the snow on the neighbor's roof while your own doorway is filthy. Confucius. The truth is that we are not logical, we are emotional, driven by ego and vanity. I will not speak ill of anyone, and I will speak all of the positive that I know about everyone. Benjamin Franklin is credited with inventing the phrase. Rather of condemning others, attempt to comprehend what they're going through. Make an effort to understand why people behave the way they do. We all want to be recognized and acknowledged. I take pride in my ability to inspire enthusiasm among my constituents. Appreciation and encouragement are the most valuable assets I possess, and they are the most effective ways to bring out the best in others. Charles Schwab is a well-known author and businessman. Before attempting to persuade someone to do something, consider the following question: how can I make this individual want to do it? As the saying goes, if there is one secret to success, it rests in being able to see things from the perspective of the other person in addition to your own. Henry Ford, in his autobiography. In 2 months, you can make more friends by expressing an interest in other people than you can in 2 years by attempting to pique the interest of other people in yourself. It is the person who is uninterested in his fellow man who faces the most challenges in life and causes the greatest harm to others. The root cause of all human failures can be traced back to such individuals. Others should be encouraged to talk about themselves. Always give others the impression that they are significant. The vast majority of people you encounter will regard themselves as superior to you in some way. It is certain that you will win their hearts if you allow them to comprehend in some subtle way that you recognize their significance and that you recognize it truly. Tell them about themselves, and they will listen for hours, says the author. Disraeli. It is possible to win an argument by provoking and contradicting your opponent. Nevertheless, this will be an empty triumph because you will never win the goodwill of your opponent. How to prevent a disagreement from escalating into a confrontation. Accept the fact that there is a difference of opinion. Trust your instincts and don't believe everything you hear. Maintain control over your emotions. First and foremost, pay attention. Look for places where you and the other person agree. Be forthright. Make a promise to yourself that you will carefully consider and research your opponent's views. Thank your opponents profusely for their time and consideration. Action should be postponed to give both parties time to consider their options. When you say things like "I could be wrong," there is magic, positive magic, in your voice. I find myself in this situation frequently. Let's have a look at the facts. Don't get into a fight with your customer, your spouse, or your opponent. Don't correct them if they are incorrect. Keep them from becoming agitated. Make use of some diplomacy. If we know we are going to be scolded in any case, isn't it far better to be ahead of the other person and do it ourselves? Says the author. The following advice is to say about yourself all of the negative things you know the other person is thinking or wants to say or intends to say about you, and say them before the other person gets a chance to say them. When you're right, strive to persuade others to your point of view in a gentle and considerate manner. When you make a mistake, acknowledge it as soon as possible and with enthusiasm. When you're conversing with someone, don't start by talking about the topics that you disagree on. Begin by emphasizing, and continuing to emphasize, the points on which you are in agreement. Continue to emphasize, if at all possible, that you are both attempting to achieve the same goal and that the only difference between you is one of approach rather than one of aim. Begin by getting the other person to say, yes, yes, right away. If at all possible, prevent your opponent from saying no. Keep in mind that other people may be completely incorrect. They, on the other hand, do not believe this. Don't pass judgment on them. That is something any fool can accomplish. Make an effort to comprehend them. Only smart, tolerant, and extraordinary individuals would ever attempt such a feat. The author writes, if you get only one thing out of reading this book, an increased tendency to think always in terms of the other person's point of view, and to see things from that person's angle as well as your own. If you get only that one thing out of reading this book, it may easily prove to be one of the stepping stones in your career. Stopping disagreements, eliminating ill will, building goodwill and getting the other person to listen attentively can be accomplished by saying, I don't blame you one iota for feeling the way you do. If I were in your position, I would surely feel the same way you do. Sympathy is something that 3/4 of the people you will ever meet are starving and thirsty for. Make a gift of it to them, and they will adore you. It's always simpler to listen to unpleasant things once we've received some positive reinforcement for our strengths. Indirectly bringing attention to one's shortcomings works wonders with sensitive persons who may hate any direct criticism harshly. If the person who is criticizing you begins by sincerely confessing that he, too, is far from perfect, it isn't nearly as tough to listen to his or her list of your failings, says the author. Acknowledging one's own mistakes, even if one hasn't remedied them, can be a powerful tool in persuading someone to modify their conduct. If they have a role in the decision that resulted in the order being made, people are more likely to accept it, according to research. When praise is precise, it comes off as genuine, rather than something the other person may be saying to make one feel good for the sake of making one feel good. As the saying goes, if you wish to improve someone in a certain area, act as if that particular trait were already one of his or her most distinguishing characteristics. You can deprive almost anyone of any motivation to attempt to better their abilities by telling them that they are foolish or dumb at something they are good at, that they have no talent for it, or that they are doing everything incorrectly. The other strategy is to be liberal with your support, to make the activity appear simple to perform, and let the other person know that you have faith in his ability to do it, that he has an undeveloped flair for it, and he will practice till the sun comes out of his window to achieve success. Always try to make the other person happy by suggesting something they will enjoy doing. Whenever it is required to change attitudes or behavior, a good leader should keep the following guidelines in mind. Make no promises that you will not be able to deliver on. Forget about the rewards to yourself, and instead think about the benefits to the other person who is being helped. Make a clear statement about what you want the other person to do. Consider what it is that the other person truly desires. Consider the advantages that individual will experience as a result of implementing what you recommend. Match the benefits of your offer to the desires of the other person. When you make your request, Make sure it is in a format that will convey to the other person the sense that he will directly benefit from your request. Thank you for listening in Audiobook Academy. Please don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. See you in next audiobook.